Good morning. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is Father's Day, June 15, 2025. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers, those who have fathers and those who've been fathers to other people. We are a welcoming congregation. I'm sorry, did I tell you that my name is Jackie Buckley and I am your worship associate today? Yeah, thank you. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every person. We are also on YouTube. To be on our email list or to find out more information about us, Google TCUUC, and to find our website. Please note the email link to request our online Friday newsletter. And just a reminder to silence cell phones if you haven't already. And now is our time for visitors. If we have anyone with us for the first time and you're comfortable, we ask you to come up to the microphone and introduce yourself. Yes. Only if you're comfortable. Well, we welcome you anyway if you're here. Now for our announcements. They are printed on the order of service in your bulletin, and all the details are there. Just a few things to mention. The Tuesday brown bag lunch is at Poppleton Creek Park at noontime. On Tuesdays, the 1st and 3rd of the month, 1st and 3rd Tuesdays, and it's adjacent to the dog park just down the street here. After the service today, we invite you to join us for coffee and refreshments in the social hall. And now is the time to thank those who are helping with the service today. We've got Jackie Robbins, we have John Moore, Judy Bajoris for music, and I believe we're having a choir sing too. I hope we are. And I want to thank our ushers, whoever you are. When you step up, we thank you. Our tech elf, Karina Poloni, and Alistair Forrester. And I want to thank our greeters, Shari Louise, Judith Watt, and David Gray. And our hospitality team today, Joanne Leone and Marguerite Gregory, have a well-deserved day off today, and Florence Treacle and myself are helping in the kitchen today. And in the pulpit is our own Reverend Bob MacDonald. And now for our prelude. Thank you, Jackie. Our chalice lighting. We light this chalice, the symbol of our faith, knowing that this morning many others across this land and around the world are doing the same. For us and for our far-flung kin, it is a light of peace, of justice, and love. But without work, these aspirations flicker out as soon as the candle is extinguished. Let us all join together to accept the challenge of doing the hard work that makes these aspirations real. Our opening words. Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history, and therefore, we are saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone, and we are saved by love. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as it is from our own. Therefore, we are saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. Words of Reinhold Niebuhr. I'm sorry, Niebuhr? Niebuhr, thank you. I tried to look that up and I couldn't get my Google to tell me how to say it. Our first hymn this morning is number 118. Please stand if you like. And now for our affirmation, speaking the first verse and singing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another.
The reading is number 717. My theme today is graduation, And I found these things to kind of go with it. Sometimes I have to strain to make them go with it, but I think you get this. 7:17, new life comes to us. New life comes to us as a gift. Each new life makes its demand, exacts our attentiveness, enlists and organizes our energies and blesses us. May we be worthy of the gift and glad receivers of the blessing. New life appeals to us. Each new life is helpless and so calls forth our help, is weak and so calls forth our strength, is innocent and so calls forth our wisdom. May we be wise in our strength and ever strong in our help. New life grows. Each new life ventures first words, first steps, first essays in the art of living. Each grows, ever surpassing the life that was for life that shall be. May we patiently wait and watch in wonder. New life bears untold promise. Each new life has a story to tell, and we shall listen. Each new life goes forth from us, laying the child's sovereign claim on whole realms of being we had called our own. God of grace, may they be blessed, whatever the pathways they follow, whatever the life they claim as their own. And the author is named Beach. And now we invite people to share matters of joy or concern. We ask that they be brief and personal, not political announcements. You know, I tend to repeat myself, and I'm asking that they be brief and personal. Oh, I just repeated myself. Who has something of that? Well, before you, while you're thinking of yours, let me just mention a few. I was told this morning coming in that the obituary of John Fox. Where did you see that? Yeah. John and Ruth are original members here. I have been here active in years past, but haven't in recent years, we assume because of declining health. Ruth and John Fox, we certainly want to hold Ruth in thought and vibe and prayer and wish her the best and maybe want to be in touch with her by card or call. I also want to let you know that Chris Bladen, now Chris and Mary Bladen have been snowbirds down here. They're probably watching, so I have to be careful what I say. No, not really. But Chris and Mary have been enthusiastic attenders here. They're in Pennsylvania. He's in cancer care, but he assures me he's playing tennis a couple times a week. He rubs that in because I can't, he can at 91. But we want him to score whatever points he needs to against the cancer and keep on going. Chris and Mary. Sandy Craig let me know that she came through her surgery and is healing. Our choir sent her a video of them singing, which I gather contributed to the healing. She also let me know on a sadder note that the nephew she announced last week as a hit and run accident, I think in his 40s in Houston, I think, is not doing well. And that needs to be decided. But we certainly hope to hear better about Sandy's nephew. And finally, on my list here, Scott Gledhill, who with Joanne is back in their other home in Maryland. Scott let me know that the choir and the congregation are singing his favorite numbers today. So Karina and Alistair and Jay and all other tech-wise people, please find a way to get voices here, maybe there, to sing along with the choir or the congregation. There must be some way we can do that. Work on that, Jay, but not for the next hour. Anyway, glad to hear from Scott. Always glad to hear from our northern members. Who else has something to share? Fred and then Janet.
Hi, Fred Dembowski. My daughter had a liver transplant about 2 weeks ago and is doing fine, but still has not yet gone home. And my younger sister had her foot amputated last week because of complications from diabetes.
Oh, wow. Janet.
On a slightly lighter note, Brian Wilson. Yes. The Beach Boys gave this California girl joy, and I do wish that all those good vibrations continue on forever. Oh.
Was that during your hippie years?
Actually, I need to qualify this. This is really personal. I appreciate that you used good vibes a few moments ago. When I was a teenager, I had actually a private meeting with the Wilson brothers. Kind of weird. My parents had a hydrofoil boat, and they were fascinated by that, so they got the rundown on that. And then we went into a private area, and I have a picture and a can of Pepsi. I still have.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you. Shari?
Good morning. My name is Shari Louise, and my joy is I'm back, and I want to thank everyone for their good wishes during my illness. I've been dealing with black mold poisoning for several months, and that old saying, physician, heal thyself. It took my children to point it out as to what was wrong. So thank you, everyone.
Anyone else? Yes.
Good morning. My name is Becky, and I have two concerns. I have a sister-in-law named Gail who is recovering from her breast biopsy yesterday for atypical cells, and we will get the results on Monday. So I'm concerned, and I hope you keep her in your thoughts. And then I have a sister-in-law named Cheryl who is going in tomorrow morning for neurosurgery for a brain cyst and hydrocephalus. And so we're very concerned for both of them, and I hope you will keep them in your thoughts and prayers.
Tia, we have missed you.
Hi, I'm Tia Breeding, and I'm delighted to be back. I did miss you, not all the time, but occasionally. Because for those of you who don't remember, I went on a Viking River cruise and then went to Berlin to hear concert in a special concert hall. So I'm back from those, and it was hot over there. The people in Hungary, in
Germany.
Budapest,
Oh,
thank you,
Budapest, okay.
told me they used to have big winters and the seasons and then summer, and now they just have a little winter and just summer. So I was hot the whole time over there. But I did think of you. It's good to be back, and instead of having congregational meeting today, we're going to have one the first Sunday in July. A lot of people have other things they're doing today, so that's good news for you. Sorry, I forgot to say, it's a real joy to get to meet Stan's older son, Tim.
Yes.
concern, which is that one of my family members has dementia, and the other, his partner, is having a very difficult time with this. And that's taking a lot of energy. And my joy is that when he's with me, his spirit is uplifted, and that I can make him feel really comfortable, and I can help him travel. And so I will not be here next week because I'm going to a joyful wedding, making life easier for my dear family member.
Anyone else? All of these mentions of sibling remind me that I meant to say that my younger sister is in bad shape. She's 73. Her lungs are in bad shape because of habits she had for a lot of years. And she's got a grandchild graduating, and we've been told not to make anything of her struggle until that graduation's over. So I'm wishing her the best and hope that she's not graduating anywhere in the near future. But anyhow, my younger sister, Carol. Anyone else? We always move one for people we don't mention out loud, but we all have people that we care about, worry about, and this is for them. Thank you, Jackie. Now, I found this hymn, which I'm not going to sing, but I'm going to read it. It's number 340, and I'm not sure if it's on the topic, but it's on how we often feel. The words are attributed to Christine Michaels. 340, though gathered here to celebrate. This is the meditation. Though gathered here to celebrate, my spirit's burning low. Instead of serving, now I wait. The breath of worship's not too late. Breathe, let the embers glow. There have been losses on the way, a parent, partner, friend. At times I need to grieve and say, I have enough to bear today. Be near and help me mend. The stillness strips the masks away, exposes lonely hearts. Self-pity must not have its way. I'll live my life from day to day, and now the healing starts. Moments of silence. And now the hymn is Spirit of Life, 123. We hum it once, we sing it once, either sit or stand, whichever. Spirit of Life. We certainly hope the spirit of life and generosity keep coming to us here. And in order for that to happen, we need your generosity. So the offering plate now comes your way with 2 willing volunteers. There's 1, there's 2. Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. One of our ploys here is that we get a song that you know, you start singing, and our ears pick up on who the choir material are. And so there's a method to it. Just a couple pre-things. I've lost my coffee can that had a big Q on it. And that coffee can with the Q was to invite your thoughts for what a sermon might be, a topic. And you can see I've written in the bulletin that I'm starting my 13th year. Does that sound lucky for you or for me? Does it sound like a long time? It do sound like a long time. But anyway, so I'm again soliciting, I often do, topics that you think it would be good to work on. So please let them come. Also, we've got to be wrapping up this offering we're collecting for disaster relief, which would be distributed through the UU Service Committee. So we're asking people to give over and above their pledge or weekly offering and mark a check or an envelope that comes in disaster relief. I've been calling it St. Louis because the center of the country, and I saw devastation there on the TV. But it'll go to UU to do what they can with it, to add it to other monies, so our little will become part of a larger. Now, I was looking for the Mormon Tabernacle to visit us this morning with something special for the graduates. I thought maybe pomp and circumstance, but I chose something else, and I'm about to hear it. I think you're all about to hear it. Yes, you know this one. You know, I think in all humility, we have to say they aren't quite there yet, but they've made a good beginning. They're on their way. I like to read the graduation addresses of people of renown because it's usually their take on what's important in life. I think a Muppet like Elmo gave one this year. The coverages of graduation speeches have been overshadowed by events like another war in the Middle East. Last year, the retiring tennis great Roger Federer gave quite a speech. He began by asking the grads to guess what percentage of all the points he played in his 20-year career and 20 major trophies like US Open, French Open, Wimbledon. Of all the points he played, what percentage did he win? Now, they probably thought a high percentage with such a stellar career, he must have won a high percentage. But no, he said he actually won 54% of all the points he played, 54. He went on to say that the important ingredient on the road to success was not the gift you were born with, but the grit you had in you to achieve your goals. That mysterious sine qua non without which nothing, stick-to-itiveness, grit. That reminded me of a couple tennis instructors that really tried with me. They really tried. Long ago, far away. One said, "Bob, you've got to decide whether you want to play or to practice." Well, I wanted to play, but the road to improvement was practice. Have you ever hit a tennis ball against a wall for an hour? Boring, pretty boring, and you pick up a lot of balls that way. Federer ended his address by saying, the reason colleges and universities brought in speakers of fame was to impress the parents, who were probably the only people there really listening, to impress them that their investment over the past 4 years had been worth it. Now, another memorable graduation speech several decades ago was by the late night news anchor Ted Koppel, Nightline. He said that the generation of that day, I think it was the early 80s, the generation of that day treated the 10 Commandments like they were suggestions, optional. And by that he meant we could not get far without a North Star in life, a compass pointing towards something greater than ourselves. We needed to believe in something a bit more solid than suggestion. Which makes me think, how do I respond to people who ask what UUs believe? I'm not comfortable responding, UUs believe whatever they want. I mean, I'm not comfortable with that for me. So I try to start a discussion. Beliefs are personal and usually a bit familial. You got them to start with from your family, where you started in life. You were taught to repeat them, so you did. I tell people, UUs hopefully guide their beliefs and their behavior by our principles, like the first one. All people are worthy, inherently, whether you're born with or without gift or grit, you are full of worthiness. and that's nothing you have to prove. But you can find you are around people who don't know that, so you have to move. So my graduation speech would go something like this. The most important thing in your life is what you choose to be your priority in life. That's the most important thing, and that will change. It's a search, a journey, not an arrival. When you couple, if you couple, your other will want to know your priority in life includes your other. And if you have children, they will want to know and will let you know, ditto. We have friends because they know their happiness, their thoughts are important to us. Please share. My cat reminds me every day she knows what's important in life and doesn't let me forget her priority. Cats really do have staff. To me, the meaning of the first commandment, no other gods, is we may not be able to pin down who or what deity is. As I've said many times, I'm persuaded by what a priest friend calls the mystery we call God. We may not be able to say what a deity could possibly be, but we are candidates for damage to ourselves and to others, if we call something that clearly isn't deity. The ongoing American candidate for top dog is our greed and wealth. What you want most in life, you give the power to enslave you, and thereby to diminish you. Jimmy Carter, in his book, The Virtues of Aging, writes that we who have a lot have to work at not allowing what we have to become what we are living for. He says one of our greatest challenges as we get older is not to dwell on having enough to live on, when we should be dwelling on what we are living for. Now, that's more easily agreed to by people who have enough to live on. And the numbers of people who don't are growing. It used to be said by people who knew that most people in the U.S. had savings of about $500 to fall back on. 100 times that, which I think is 50,000, wouldn't keep us very long if the safety nets of the Affordable Care Act, Medicaid, food stamps, child sustenance protections like school meals are taken away. And there are people bent on taking such away. There was a popular long-running TV series called Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. The MC, I believe, was a guy named Robin Leach. I always thought his name said it all. Who would watch a show called Sacrificial Living? In the words of Obama's daughter, one of them, advice she gave him when he asked her, her advice was, you be you, you be you. This is Pride Month. How can we say to gay people, to trans people, to anybody, anything but you be you? Now, I've never quoted or sang Sinatra, but he used to sing, I've got to be me, who else can I be? I've got to be me. You've probably heard that, haven't you? Yeah. How can that not be true for everybody? You be you. Who else can you be? There's a lot of help in life to figure out what our priority is, or how to get back to it, or how to get onto it. Religious figures can point the way. I quote Jesus a lot because he does for me, and not in the way he does for most of the people who say they follow him. I'm pretty sure he says, or said something like, the worst sin, whatever that is, whatever sin is, the worst is not something about your body. It's not about sex. The worst sin is about your spirit and your ego, and it's called self-righteous. And one of his favorite words was hypocrite for people who wore religiosity like a mask. Some of the things I hope my life will be remembered for. Not that I'm ready to graduate. Life is a gift. Life is a gift every day. If I could change anything, it would be remembering that better. It is sad that it is often a crisis, an attack on our health, or an attack on our nation that causes us to remember that. I remember an interview Larry King had with Peter Jennings, another news anchor of years ago. Jennings was at Post on that fateful September 11th, and he stayed there all day. And King, a few days later, was pressing him on how he got through the day. King kept asking Jennings more than once, "Didn't you get emotional during the broadcast?" Jennings remembered turning around and finding a note from a staffer, "Call your children." And on the phone with them, he got emotional. And he turned back to his national audience and blurted out, "Call your children." If we had so many days left, we would have a choice between self-pity and making the most of them. Guess what? We only have so many days left. I wish I remembered that better. I also hope my life will say to those who remember, the giving get a lot more out of life than the miserly. Did I just hear a musical underlining of that? The giving get a lot more out of life than the miserly. Miserly isn't just with money. How many times my mind goes back to required reading in high school? Does anybody else here of mine go back to required reading in high school? Maybe without you realizing it. Silas Marner. Silas Marner. I found one of those comic books. Remember, what were they called?
Classics Illustrated.
What?
Classics Illustrated.
Classics Illustrated? That sounds right. I got that to be sure I got that. I read it, but I wasn't sure I got it. So I got the comic book to tell me I did. Silas Marner, the man who loved his gold more than anything until it was stolen, and he discovered a child, a relationship. Richard Cory, who had everything but a purpose. Did you have to read that in high school, Richard Cory? Anybody remember the last line? Went home and put a bullet through his head? Well, just as well if you don't remember that. Richard Cory. And The Ancient Mariner. You remember that. You had to read that, didn't you? Yeah, surely. He cursed God's creatures. What did he curse? What bird was that? Albatross? Yeah. Now, we saw a bunch of them in, I think in South America, very South America. They're beautiful birds. Why in the world Or no, it was the island off of Ecuador, the Galapagos. Lots of them, beautiful birds. Why did he curse it? I forget. But he wound up wearing one around his neck. You remember that. Lessons from English literature in miserliness. The giving get a lot more out of life. How do you teach that? You hopefully show it by trying to live it the best you can. What message do you hope your life leaves behind? Do you think about that now and then? I would like my autobiography to have something like these chapters. I was always looking for priority and trying to get it right and never sure I did. But I think the important thing about it is never to be sure you're entirely there. That's like the promised land, I think. You have to be true to yourself. Another bard said that, or the bard said that, to thine own self. Life is a gift. Life is a gift. And this one must try to remember that more. And the giving get a lot more out of life. Now, when you get up, you don't have hats to throw up in the air. I should have brought some. You get the picture. You've probably done that a few times. Our closing hymn is number 318. Please be seated for these closing words, and then we will join together for refreshments and fellowship following. I need to add a PS to the sermon, because I can't believe I didn't bring this up. I'm numbed by what happened yesterday in Minnesota. I mean, we must be. How can that happen in America? People assassinated for their political persuasion. I don't like to talk politics, and I don't think I'm talking politics. I think I'm talking insanity. But that seems to be where we're getting what we've come to. What an awful loss of 2 lives and others yesterday. All right, closing words as the extinguishing of the light goes on. These words are by Sarah Campbell. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts that they are, and renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. Sarah Moores Campbell. Our postman.